Each one of us have stories that have never been told. Stories of humor, heartache, triumph, failure, stories of survival, and everything in between. You know, in a time where people are becoming more and more disconnected, my hope is that these stories bring us together again and unite us. Because after all, stories are meant to be shared. I'm Todd Pierce, and this is Untold Stories by Todd.
Hey, I'm sitting down with Anthony Schreiber, my first boss.
Oh my God!
From God forever
What a
ago.
distinction.
Right? Here's the crazy thing. You're actually my last boss.
Wow, you haven't worked for anybody.
I've never done a W-2 again.
Wow.
Yeah, so kind of crazy there. But I really appreciate.
So are you doing this for? Is this for?
No, this is kind of a passion. I'm trying to just get re-engaged with sharing stories and sharing inspiring stories and survival stories and stories.
And what do you do for a living then?
So I'm a builder. I build houses.
So you work for yourself?
So I work for myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've been doing that for 12 years.
Wow, it's going good. Single family homes?
Yeah.
All spec or are you?
No, all single family homes, no spec, all custom remodels. So design build.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
That's
great.
Great.
And Denver's a great market for it.
Yeah, it's booming
right now. Yeah. So
good for you.
Yeah. So anyway, Anthony, founder, Best Buddies International, 30-year anniversary.
I know. Wow,
right?
Amazing, right?
That's awesome.
Time flies.
I mean, crazy. So I was looking back and trying to figure out when I first interviewed with you, and it was 25 years ago.
Oh, come on.
25 years ago. I don't know if you have any memories of that.
You're not even 25, right?
No. Yeah.
That's craziness,
He's 18.
right?
I know. It's like it's crazy.
And I definitely remember you working and all that.
Yeah. You remember the Larchmont Deli?
Yeah. I mean, all that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, but blast from the past.
Yeah. So, who you have with you still? You've got Mark Wiley, John.
You mean the long-termers?
Yeah.
That you might know. Yeah, Wiley's been here 30 years.
Yeah.
Carlin's been here more than 30 years.
Yeah.
Lisa Dirks has been here 30 years.
No, she's not in Miami though, right?
No, she's in our DC office.
Okay.
John Carlin, Wiley. Quillen's been here on and off 25 years.
Yeah. You have family working with you now?
3 kids.
Really? All
working at Best Buddies. Yeah.
Really? How old are
I'm
they?
very lucky, blessed.
Yeah.
I have one who's 31 that works in our San Francisco office.
Okay.
And then I have 2, one 25, one 24 that work in this office.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day, God willing, all 5 of them will work here.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
That'll be a home run.
I'm sure they will.
But they're both, all of them are really talented, skilled in their area, and added a lot. And they're the young youth, and
yeah.
add so much to any organization. So it keeps me kind of in touch with our clientele, which are all young people for the most part.
Yeah.
People 25 and under really our core constituency.
So still a huge, presence in the colleges, right?
High schools is the biggest.
High schools is
by
the biggest.
far, and the
Really?
fastest growing. Yeah.
Okay.
So it outpaced the colleges about 8 years ago.
So tell me a little bit about kind of, I want to get into some of the new things that you're doing, but like from when I was working with you, I mean, how many colleges were there? It was 100 colleges or something?
Maybe, yeah. We'll be 3,000 in probably the next 3 weeks. We're at like 289 now.
Yeah.
So we're ramping new ones on now because the school year started.
Yeah.
So we'll be at 3,000, and this year at Leadership Conference we'll have probably 3,200 people go.
Did you do the
Indiana University, yeah, every July.
Yeah.
So
One week?
This year it's 4 days.
4 days.
So this year, we'll have 3,200 people, which is the capacity of that
That's
auditorium.
insane. That is gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, we have actual participants, day-to-day participants now, about 168,000 that participate day-to-day through the programs.
Can you talk a little bit about, I want to go back a little bit because I think it's fun to, I know that you're 30 years down the road and sometimes you may not look back, but what was, the impetus of getting Best Buddies, started?
Well, my Aunt Rosemary Kennedy was a big part of it. I had a great relationship with her. Great friendship with her my whole childhood and into when I moved to Florida. She come stay with me for 2 months. And I think it was sort of the recognition that no matter how disabled or challenged anybody is, that everybody's got a gift from God that needs to be celebrated. And the more that we celebrate and we include, the more rich and more enlightened and more gratifying our lives are, and the more joyful and loving our lives are. And I think You know, she inspired me. She inspired my mother to start Special Olympics. She inspired President Kennedy and all his work in the field of intellectual development disabilities. So she's changed the lives of tens of millions of people through her inspiration, and she did it in a different way. She did it in a soft way. She did it in a calm way. She did it in a quiet way. She did it with, you know, challenging intellect, but able to move mountains in other areas of her life, and to show all of us that, you know, you don't have to be a great orator, you don't have to have huge energy, you don't have to be great looking to change the world. You know, you can have your own special way to do it, and she did it. So she, you know, motivated me to see that in every human being, and I wanted to share that with, you know, other kids that were young, because I think if you have that concept and that mentality, that value in your life when you're young, and you can carry that through your life forever, I think it just leads to a much more rewarding, gratifying, fulfilling life. And
It's pretty remarkable, though, that you had that vision because you were young.
yeah, I was young.
I mean, how old were you?
When Best Buddies started?
Yeah, when you...
I was a junior in college, so I wasn't young. I mean, I was young, but
That's
not
young.
super young. But yeah,
Well,
I mean, some of the great movements in the history of our country are all done by young people, which is why
Yeah.
I'm so happy that my 3 children all work here and they're so young, because I think, you know, young people bring a sense of optimism. They don't have the sense of all the barriers and the hurdles. And it's like every time I look at a new deal here, I'm like, okay, well, let's look through it. Let's do a budget, blah, blah, blah. You know, when I started Best Buddies, I didn't even know what a budget was.
Right.
I remember vividly at a board meeting, and going into our second year, and I said, okay, we're going forward in 1990, and my father looked at me, where's the budget for this organization? And I'm like, what do you mean? He says, we gotta have a budget. We can't just go ahead and just like, you just go to wing it all the time. You gotta put the budget. And I'm like, really? So, I mean, you know, it's just like, you know, I just had the spirit where let's go get it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Right.
obviously we have to have a budget as the thing grows, but I think it's the spirit of young people, you know, Sergio, man, who started Google, or Gates, or Zuckerberg, all these people are in college. I think they just think everything's possible. You don't worry about budgets and office space and leases, and you got an idea, you got a passion, you get the vision, you just go get it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that was kind of my mentality there. I had no plan, no structure, no business plan, you know, nothing. But I had, you know, the passion, I had the work ethic, and I had the, you know, the concept that, you know, giving back is super wonderful and really rewarding. And you know, I remember very vividly too, you know, being around the dining room table all the time with my parents, and you know, our dinner conversations were so lively and so vibrant, and they would go back and forth debating and challenging each other, and it was always about, you know, Special Olympics. It was always about community action. It was always about dealing with issues that face our local community or our country. And it just seemed always to me so vibrant and interesting compared to if I went to a friend's house. Nothing against, you know,
Yeah.
2 parents that are lawyers or accountants, but I just didn't find the conversation, for me personally, doesn't mean their conversations aren't super interesting, as stimulating or exciting or as challenging. And, you know, optimistic and open to potential of doing anything you want if you have a good idea. So they made the work really exciting and dynamic. So, I mean, I always sort of felt like in my mind, somehow, some way, I'd like to be in the social justice movement, or in some kind of nonprofit community action type activity, because I think it's, you know, I don't know, I just find once you're in it, it's super hard to give it up.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, because I wanted to talk about that too, because I know Best Buddies has just been your passion. And kind of going back to the lawyers and whoever else, I mean, it's just so hard for people to have, like, to hang on to their passion. Number one, to find it.
Right.
And number two, to actually hang on to it.
Yeah.
You know, how have you been able to do that?
Well, it's super hard to find it. I agree. I think young
Yeah.
people struggle. Everybody struggles. I think there's people 60, 70 don't know what their real passion is.
Right.
Or they know in their that little voice in their
But they don't listen
mind.
to it, really.
They don't listen to it. They're scared. They're worried. You know, they have all the hurdles, right?
Right.
Because the older you get, the hurdles become bigger and bigger, and they should get smaller and smaller. So I get that. As you know, I got stuff in my own head that I've thought about doing over and over, and I just don't do it. You know, get this problem, that problem with the organization, I don't do it. Best Buddies Living is an example of that. I mean, I put that off for 12 years. You know, I didn't put the 10. You know, I had 10 reasons why I couldn't do it. So, you know, I get that. I mean, I think if, you know,
You've got a lot of little passions, like micro passions, though, that are within the company. Like all the new things that you're doing.
yeah, but I hope they'll be. I mean, they all start small, but I hope
Right.
they're going to be big. And you know, the goal
Well,
is always to make them
sounds like they're
big.
huge. You've got 3 big things that are going out right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got good stuff. But I mean, you know, I always say, you know, it's just we got to start small, try to do it really well, and then try to scale it all. But even to start small and take the first step is generally the biggest battle.
Yeah.
Just like I say, it's my kids are like, just take the step. Nothing's going to happen. All what's going to happen is, you fail, or you make a mistake, or you start again. Who cares? Especially when you're young. Nobody cares.
I can remember you talking to me about that. I mean, I have memories of you saying, here's your call list, call these people. And you're like, it was a little intimidating as a young guy, right? I'm early 20s. I'm like, oh, Todd, what are they going to do? They're going to answer the phone, or they're not going to answer the phone.
Right,
Just make the phone call.
Yeah. And I tell that, I still, if you can believe it, still saying that to staff constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes across, but it's getting rid of the fear of, the no. It's getting always, a lot of people have the tendency, okay, well, I'll do it next week. What about doing it today? Let's do it now. Just ask. They say no, big deal. Who cares? It's just, it's irrelevant. You go off and you try to start something, you give 2 years of your life. 2 years goes like that, especially you and I know, you get older, it's nothing.
Yeah.
And, everybody's going to be here when you get back. It's like when I try to encourage my kid to go to the Peace Corps, he's like, oh my God, it's 2.5 years. I'm like, I know, but when you come back, we're going to be in the same house, the same office. Everybody's going to be going to the Cape in the summer. Your cousins are going to be doing the same stuff. And you will just have the most amazing experience of a lifetime being in the Peace Corps, living in Peru, learning the language. And he came back, and it's like, I feel like he was in the Peace Corps another lifetime ago. It was so long ago that he did. So, I think these things, but people get caught up in it, and they have that little voice, and it just, they keep coming up with reasons why not to take the step.
What advice would you have for those people?
Take it. Take the step, man.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happened. Anybody I know that's taken the step and, fallen short or had to take it again, nothing ever happened, and really, that's bad.
Yeah.
I know my dad, ran for vice president. My dad ran for, he, failed in both, efforts, and nothing bad happened to him, and he was still a highly respected guy. He started the war on poverty. He was an ambassador to France. He led Special Olympics for 20 years in the last part of his career. Super admired guy, I think, in the country, and one of the most important public servants of the 20th century.
Absolutely.
And he failed, and in a big way, when many people in his family were having unbelievable success in the same arena. It's got to be tough, but he failed. He got in his car, went home, and he had 5 kids in the house, and he had his wife, and endless opportunity, and had a brilliant career and a great life, and followed Jesus Christ to the day he died. So it's just not. It seems like it's such a big deal, but I just keep remind all the people that have failed. President Kennedy failed in '56 when he ran for vice president. He lost. He came back and became president, and I think one of the great presidents in the history of our country. But he could have crawled in the hole or never had run because he didn't think that was right. It's like my cousin Joe Kennedy now that's going to run for Congress against Markey in Massachusetts. There's a ton of reasons why you shouldn't challenge the incumbent. You shouldn't challenge someone in your party. But, he's 38 and he's got a vision, and, his vision's got to go. And, so he loses to Markey, big deal. Or people beat up on him, big deal. Who cares? I think you got to go, you got to live your life. I think the key in all these things is you got to live your life, right?
Yeah.
And it's only yours, and it's not your son's, it's not my kids. And without being selfish, you still got to, follow your calling, I think, because it goes fast, it's your life, and it's really special to you, and God made you so different.
Although you had a great, your upbringing, you had this just an amazing culture, right, that a lot of people don't have. Sitting around the table and having that banter back and forth, that's really rare. A lot of families don't have that. That's pretty neat.
Right, I agree. I'm blessed to have that, and, to have the ability to sit and, actually have a meal and all that. I agree. But
you've carried that on with your family.
Yeah, we do. We sit same time every night for dinner. We sit around the table. Every night.
Yeah.
And, every day, Sunday, you go to church, and we all come back, talk about the Mass, talk about the gospel. I think, trying to create structure that's consistent and tradition, I think is really important. And I think you don't have to be wealthy, and you don't have to have great resources to create tradition in your family. I think you can create tradition in so many different ways, right? You can create tradition by
so many ways.
Going somewhere Christmas every year. You can go somewhere for Thanksgiving. You can do something together as a family, whether it's taking a walk.
Yeah.
It's like during Lent, I try to come up with a new tradition. Like a couple of years ago, we came up with the tradition to walk to Mass.
Right.
So on Sundays during Lent, we all walk to Mass. On Sundays during Lent, we all give up our phones for the whole day. That kind of has become a tradition. We've been doing.
I always respected that too. I remember when you would travel out to LA, you would always make a point to go to Mass.
Right.
No matter what, no matter how busy or anything, you'd find time.
Thank God, otherwise I'd be even more of a disaster than I already am. God knows what I'd be doing if I didn't go to Mass. It would really be a mess. It'd be a real disaster show here.
Yeah.
But, so I think families can do that, and I think young people really respond to that. I think kids want consistency, they want tradition, and they want, that kind of spirit, I think, creates a level of calm in people's lives when you have, a sense of what's coming next and what's going to happen Sunday and what time do I have to wake up and what am I doing for dinner? Like, where are we going to dinner? What's the dinner plan? Who's eating? Who's not? I mean, all those kind of decisions, those little ones, it's all, I think, creates angst for people in general in their life. If they
Did you
don't
ever
know
get any pushback from the kids though, like in their teenage years?
No, because they've been doing it since the day they remember.
Yeah, and so they'd look forward to it, and it was just a part of life.
Yeah, I know, there's like, the mass thing, they just
is.
They could go out till 5 a.m, but they know they have to go to 9:30 mass.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Do you still play football? I remember we played flag football.
I can't get anybody to play with me anymore.
Really?
Honestly. I play a little bit in the summer, but all those guys that I used to play with, they just get hurt. I couldn't get anybody to come, honestly. I really couldn't get anybody to play.
Yeah.
I play a lot of kickball because my 10-year-old plays kickball.
Yeah.
And so it's fun. And so I do that a lot with him. I play
that was so fun.
16-inch softball,
Yeah.
which people don't get as hurt. You don't need
Yeah.
gloves, so it's kind of fun,
Yeah.
which I like a lot. So I do that. The football thing is just the hamstrings are going for people. And knees, and just, guys my age are really getting pretty bad shape.
Yeah, same here.
So it's kind of hard to get them out to run on 100
You're still
yard
pretty lean though, for guys.
Trying.
What are you doing?
We do the football game. We did it for 10 years or 11, whatever, with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So I ran around and did that, and that went well. But so I think the consistency for the family is super important.
Yeah. We've tried, but there's always room for improvement, I think. Yeah.
For all of us, yeah. I know it's hard.
Yeah.
And I think, if they don't learn it from when they're little, it's really hard.
Yeah.
To bring someone, maybe they won't go to mass, but I mean, I think there's always opportunities to create consistency and tradition.
Yeah, I love tradition.
Now.
Just having something, and the tradition can change, but if you're doing something for Thanksgiving every year, that Thanksgiving thing can change all the time, but it's like, at least you have that.
You got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what's going on with Best Buddies' future. So I know you've got Best Buddies Living, which is you're partnering with UCLA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Best Buddies Living, and that's been one of my passions for a long, long time. Just never pulled the trigger. Always had 10 reasons why I couldn't do it, or always too busy. But finally, thank God, pulled the trigger this year, got it done, and opened our first home in Westwood, California. It's a beautiful $3.6 million home we got.
And is it a single family or is it a
single family home?
Oh, okay.
And it's small, but it's not small. The number of people, we have 2 residents and 2 volunteer residents, and all 4 of them pay rent. We have a resident manager there that works for Best Buddies, and we're about a half a mile from UCLA, and we're completely tied in. My vision on this thing is that I think people are desperate for a sense of community.
Yeah.
And I think we all want to feel a sense of community, whether it's the community of our family, whether it's the community of our city, whatever it is. And I think Best Buddies really can be super effective at creating a sense of community for people. And I think we've done a really good job, even for our donors, if they feel like they're part of something, or our cyclists, or our volunteers. And I think housing for people with special abilities is really one of the last big, great frontiers for them.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's doing it. Nobody's doing it the way we're doing it, for sure. And nobody's doing it the quality that we're doing it, for sure. I believe that the house we have is the most premier house for anybody with a...
Well, the ratio is crazy, too.
Well, the ratio is crazy, but even the quality of the house, there's nobody that's got people with special abilities living in a house of that caliber.
Right.
I mean, people that go into it, they all want to live it themselves.
Yeah, well,
including all my children and everybody.
Yeah.
So it's great. But I mean, I thought it was super important, the first house to be set, make a statement.
Yeah.
That, people like this, they deserve the best, and not second rate, and quality needs to be good, the programming needs to be good, the sense of community needs to be good. And I think, tying the house into the university where we have a great presence and a chapter, and to have people with special abilities feel part of a university community forever, I think is a really great idea myself, and to make them feel like they can eat their meals there, go to the sporting events, be part of the cultural activities, have continuing education.
Don't you think that's a big problem in general, like right now, the connection?
Huge. I mean, because the big connection most people have is their phone.
Yeah.
That's their connection, and of course that gives you no sense of love or satisfaction at all. So I would be sitting on the phone all day long.
It's hard to kind of get, so you got to get kind of re-engaged with that old school, like personal, face-to-face connection. And
you have to have it's like, as I say, the staff gave a little bit of pushback, but it's like, I've said, people, if you're going to live in this house, you got to eat dinner 4 nights a week, a minimum together. you got to do a social activity, the whole house, 2 nights, 2 days a week at minimum. So coming up with standards like that, and they're like, well, people aren't going to want to eat, 4 nights, well, then they got the wrong house.
Goes back to the whole stuff that you do with your family, though.
Yeah,
Tradition,
it's like
the mass, and
we're
it's the same
creating
thing.
a family here. This is a family. This is the
Yeah.
Best Buddies way. We're not. You want to go and like go out to dinner by yourself every night. You got to go live somewhere else. That's
Yeah.
not us.
Yeah.
So I think again, creating the programming, making them feel part of the community in the house, but then the house being part of the UCLA community, I think is something unique, and nobody else in the space is doing it, connecting with universities. And nobody's doing it at this high level. So I'm really excited. We're going to roll out hopefully at least 4 to 6 more in 2020.
What parts?
Well, we're definitely going to do one in DC.
Uh-huh.
We may end up doing 2 or 3 in DC, so that may meet our goal in DC. We're going to do one more in Westwood.
Yeah.
We're going to do a girls' house
Yeah,
in Westwood, so we got some people interested in hopefully helping us buy that.
yeah.
And then we may do one in Nashville.
Okay,
That'll be the slate in 2020.
yeah. And then tell me a little bit about the coffee shop.
Coffee shop's good. I've always wanted to figure out a way where Best Buddies could get out of the asking for money business type thing. So trying to create as many kinds of activations here where people are really paying for the services that we're providing.
Yeah.
And I think like our cycling event, we're giving people real value.
I can't believe I haven't done a cycling.
No,
I'm
are you a
sorry.
cyclist?
I'm not a cyclist, but I can cycle.
Yeah, yeah,
I've done some races.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Yeah, jump in. The one we just did in California is off the chain. I mean, it's so great. The weather was incredible.
So pretty. And,
Yeah, the band was great, and the setting of the Hearst Ranch is incredible. The
Yeah.
castle, come for sure. I'd love to have you.
Need to do that.
But I think giving people value where they'll pay for it, I think is really important. And then for Best Buddies to be able to generate revenue and cash flow off those kinds of efforts. So I think the coffee shop is an extension of that concept where, people are going to feel that it's Best Buddies is running and owning the coffee shop and has a big part in that, and they're going to see our story and our marketing is going to be great in the coffee shop. We're going to have buddies working in the coffee shop, but my real goal in that is to make money,
Right.
and to get positive cash flow for the organization. And people come and get a coffee, and they may know about Best Buddies, but they may come get a coffee or buy a pizza there and have no idea what the hell it is and just think it's the name of the store is Best Buddies X Rosetta. I just got myself a pizza.
Right.
Because I think to have a division where we can be competitive in the marketplace and generating for-profit type activities, I think is smart for us and smart for our long-term future.
How do you decide on your location for that kind of stuff?
Demographics, we looked at, different statistical things based on, how many people walking traffic, how many people live in, within a mile, half a mile, quarter of a mile of our location. This giant residential community where they're walking, we're the first retail outlet that they're going to run into when they walk from their condos. This huge strip of condos down there. So it's in the heart of the business district there too.
Yeah.
So I think we looked at a couple of different things, and but again, it's one of those things you got to pull the trigger at some point and go for it. And I've been wanting to do it forever, and I just figured I got to pull the trigger, so I pulled the trigger, and here we are.
Nice.
So we'll see. It's going to be again first class. The design is great, quality's great, and we're gonna have buddies working there all the time, and we got a great, a great display there of our history of our organization, great photos and information about our population, and hopefully we'll inspire people in the community to hire. We need more jobs. We need the people to hire people with special abilities. It's a giant issue.
How is Best Buddies jobs going?
Good.
Yeah.
Way better than ever, and we put some real resources to it. A couple of years ago, we got a really great woman that runs it now, and we kind of restructured a little bit, so we've gotten thousands of jobs now, people working, so it's grown substantially. We're doing a big launch this fall in partnership with the Special Olympics, us, and Autism Speaks to try to challenge people to do we're calling it delivering jobs, and trying to secure 1 million jobs over the next 5 years through this partnership.
Wow. Yeah.
So we're launching in October in New York City. So hopefully you'll see some of the media around that.
God, I was talking to Nicole, and it's amazing how many events you guys are doing now. How many fundraising efforts are out there.
There's a lot.
I remember when back 25 years ago,
nothing.
4 or 5 events, I think.
Oh no, we have hundreds of
Yeah, she said there's like
yeah.
I think she said 2 or 3 months that she goes to, not even state level.
They're all over the place, yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
We do, I think, 53 walks now
Yeah.
in the country, and I think we do 48 champion events. And
Where are they doing the big one, and is the international one she was talking about? I think Tom Brady was doing that one.
the one at the Best Place Challenge High End Sport?
No, it's international. Where? Qatar. Oh, that's not.
Oh yeah, we have a lot going in Qatar.
Yeah.
Actually, Qatar, Doha is one of my targets for Best Buddies Living.
Yeah.
They have in Doha, we have a great program in Qatar, and in Doha they have what they call Education City. Georgetown University, Cornell, George Mason University. A number of schools have campuses in that city. So you can go to Georgetown, Qatar, and you graduate from that, you get a Georgetown University degree.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So Best Buddies Living would be a great connection for Education City because you got all those universities, great community, huge wealth. We have a great program. We have programs at all these universities in Doha. So I want to do an international program with Living next year too. So that's one of our big targets actually. Sorry, I can't remember what I was talking about.
Well, we were just talking about Qatar and how it's just a great event, and it's a huge presence there, and trying to incorporate the living.
Yeah, for Best Buddies Living.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, 30 years, Anthony. That's amazing. I mean, did you ever? I can remember. I was telling Hayden. I can remember coming to this office. How long have you been in this office? Because I'm pretty sure.
Probably 27, 28.
Yeah, so I was here.
Not in this exact space, but in this building.
Okay.
We took this bigger space about, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just remodeled this about 3 years ago.
I just remember coming and just like being so young, and I mean, because you were coming down from DC.
Yeah, I just moved.
And this was just a huge deal for you.
Yeah, it was huge.
And you're like Best Buddies World Headquarters.
Yeah.
It was just all so kind of fun at the time.
Yeah,
look, it really is.
Yeah, it's still fun,
really
man.
is.
I think people here are having a great time. I try to make the office really young and spirited and exciting, and I think the views are great. I think
incredible.
It's important that, as I keep saying, we got to have where people come every day. They got to feel great about themselves. They got to be happy and feel valued. And I think it goes from here to the programming to the housing, everything. The rides, the events. I'm really committed to delivering at a 5-star level.
Yeah.
And I think it all. You don't have a dumpy office and then great programs, or you don't have great programs or great office and dumpy programs. I mean, everything's consistent. It's got to be felt all through the whole.
It's come a long way from
the organization.
From the per diems that we used to have.
Yeah. Everybody's getting rich and happy now, right? Yeah.
Hey Todd, see if you can sleep on one of the colleges.
Yeah. And I would get sued if we did it today, right? I'd be in jail. I don't know how times have changed, right? And you can't even imagine doing that now.
But it's just like you said, you just went, you just go figure it out.
I didn't even have insurance, don't worry about it. I mean, it is what it is. No, I know. I never stayed in hotels in the beginning.
Yeah.
Nobody believes me here. My children never believe me, but I always was staying in someone's house.
I can remember you going so hard. We drive and see a couple of colleges. I mean, and you would just you'd hit the ground running. And I can honestly remember you just falling asleep in the car a couple of times. You'd get to a point of exhaustion and you'd just be like, all right, I'm out. Mid-sentence. I mean, you'd be talking and you'd be like, I'm out.
I know. I'm still
Are
so
you still
tired.
that way?
Yeah, I'm still pretty tired.
Yeah.
I travel a lot and, I'm at it a lot. And, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But, it beats for sure the alternative, if you're busy and you got a lot going on in your office, it's exciting, I think. And
it's exciting. I mean, look at how many lives you're touching. I mean, it's so inspiring.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm really proud of you.
And I think the best thing, is with an organization like this goes back to like my parents at the table. If we came up with a great idea right now and I think, wow, that's a great idea, let's do it, we can do it, right?
Yeah.
There's no bureaucracy, we're still, we have 400 and something people working here now, but if we come up with a great idea, boom, we'll do it, and we'll start it today.
Yeah.
So to have that kind of excitement and that opportunity to do it.
Do you have kind of like a think tank that's kind of coming up with new ideas?
Yeah, I have meetings and we brainstorm and I think of stuff, and I think of a lot of good stuff when I go out into the field and I travel, I meet with a lot of our corporate partners and I see what other people are doing in business, and I talk to parents, I talk to our participants and see where the holes are, where our movement's going and how we can play a big role in guiding it down the road and leading it in the future. So we do it, and how we can shape stuff that we're doing or give more attention to different things that we've been talking about for a long time, and put, resources and staff and allocate that and hire people to they drive those sort of little business units. I try to, as much as I can, create these little business units where people feel really responsible for their budgets and raising the money and driving the business, and whether their budget's 50,000 or their budget's 15 million.
Right.
Those things all grow, and one's 15 million, maybe it's growing by 1% or 2% a year, and the other guy's at 50,000. He's tripling his revenue or quadrupling it, and one day we'll wake up, it'll be 5 years, and his budget will be 6 million.
Right.
And then that's the thing, keeps, as a whole organization, keeps growing.
Yeah.
Best Buddy's living relatively small now. I don't know. Well, it's not that small. The house is $3.5 million, but
Right.
the revenue around it and the staffing, what it costs us to run, it's only now, I think it's $450,000 a year or something. So it's small relative to the organization, but one day we'll wake up and we could be, it could be a $15-20 million business unit here.
100%. Yeah.
And the coffee thing, we got one, and my pro forma is I hope we'll make 200 to maybe $250,000 a year profit off the
On
thing.
each one.
On that, but the goal is to scale it, and the goal is to have it 25 to 30 of them, and if we're making $5 million or $4 million, it's good money. It adds to the overall budget, and is it a game changer in a huge way? No, but it's a contributing factor, and you keep adding those little, you get the coffee, then you get the living, and then the jobs is growing, and then you're doing it. They all add up. It's just how the whole thing grows. But the coffee thing, it's not only the money, it's also the brand awareness, it's the marketing. It's people seeing our people out front and center working. It's trying to get other people to be inspired by seeing that, and then they want to go hire people to work in their businesses and recognize that when you hire a person with special abilities, it changes the culture and the values of your business in a positive way. It does change the whole dynamic,
and it makes everybody feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
So not only can they be super productive, they're out there answering the phone.
Amazing,
But
nice.
it also changes the vibe of the office.
Yeah.
So you get a good employee plus someone that really contributes to the culture of your business.
Yeah.
So I think, the coffee thing could serve us in so many different ways. And it's a great meeting place for people. We could have little meetings in the place. And
so much you can do with it.
A lot we can do with it.
Yeah.
Once we get the space, it's built out. We got food and coffee and beverages and all that. We can do a lot with it. And so it's exciting. I hope we'll definitely get one, I think, in LA too, and around where we're doing all the stuff with UCLA.
Yeah.
So it's got a big, bright future.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think we're good. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's always great to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
I'm glad you're doing so well.
It's been so long.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Everybody needs somebody.
A friend.
Somebody who knows.
What makes you laugh?
How you feel about football?
Movies.
Singing.
Life.
Somebody who always has your back.
A real friend.
A best buddy.
But sometimes it can be hard for people
With intellectual and developmental disabilities.
to make friends.
That's why we started Best Buddies.
A network of more than 70,000 friends.
Across America.
And around the world.
Best Buddies matches people like me.
Like me.
Like me.
With people like me.
Like me.
Like me.
To create one-on-one friendships that foster understanding
Break down barriers.
and help us see how.
Beautiful. Smart.
Funny. And amazing.
We all are.
And we can use your help.
Go to bestbuddies.org and see how you can get involved.
Because everybody needs a best buddy.
Including me.
Me. You.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you have a story that you'd like to tell, or you know somebody that has a story that just needs to be heard, I'd love to be able to help tell it. These are our lives. They're meant to be shared and not left untold. Feel free to reach out at one of the links in the descriptions. Let's get to work and have some fun.